Hello, beautiful soul. I'm Vicki Howie, the creator of Chakra Boosters Healing Tattoos. They're based on the work of Masaru Emoto, so if you're not familiar with them, you might want to watch my video, How Temporary Tattoos Can Heal Your Chakras. And I will leave the link for that below. And you can find my tattoos in my store at chakraboosters.com. So thank you for being here. This is your energy forecast for July 2019. And wow, wow, wow. This is going to be a month. So more than any other month before, I think I'm really excited that you're here because I think there's so much potentiality in this month as long as we stay aware. This month requires that we really stay aware and that we see the larger picture. The energy here, the nickname I have for this month is, and to bring the chakras in, is fire and water. And you know that fire and water, when put together, create steam, right? So we have a lot of fire and water. We have a lot of summery, fiery, solary, Leo-ish type energy, or we're moving toward that Leo energy more and more. We have that kind of energy, and we also have lots of Cancerian energy, the Cancer energy of water, that sweet water. And we have a Mercury retrograde phase that lasts for 3/4 of the month. Now, this is going to start in Cancer and end in Leo. So again, it's this, what I'm seeing this month and what my guides kept showing me was hero's journey, hero's journey. Like, I can't just talk about individual things this month. We need to look at it as a journey throughout the month. We also need to look at it as a journey from the beginning of the year. And then finally, I want you to even think of it as a journey of your life. There's some things that will be revealing themselves and will be inviting you to step into them. Some things revealing themselves, some things asking you to step in, and some things asking to be let go. Because in Mercury retrograde, we're doing a lot of looking back. And in the Western world, we have a little bit of impatience with Mercury retrograde, but it's really, really a gift. It's a chance for us to stop in all of our forward plans and forward motion and to really re-look at the patterns in our lives and look at our memories and look at the things that are maybe still there that aren't finished, that aren't complete. Because energy, as you know, energy needs completion. Energy moves in circuits. And when energy isn't completed, it can wreak havoc in our lives, whether it's energy in our relationships, energy about ourselves and how we feel about ourselves, energy around money. That's a big one. Like when we don't complete certain cycles with the energy of money, when we owe money or we avoid money, or, you know, we just don't finish the cycle. So cycles are very important. And my guides are showing me that this month is has a lot of completion energy, but it's the kind of completion energy that births the new thing. So I'm actually more excited about it being this beginning energy. And that beginning energy will really begin more like August 1. Because that's just how numerology works. That's how the order of our life and the order of consciousness works. So we're looking to complete some major cycles here this month that will then allow us to start really fresh in the bold and fiery energy of Leo in August. A vision that I got for this month was when you're standing in the line at a fair or something and you want to go on the scariest, biggest ride, like the big roller coaster or the thing that spins you around and around and around. And I got this view that if you stand in that line and you're not excited, like someone forced you to get in there, like a friend pulled you in and made you go in because they wanted someone on the ride with them. If you're not excited to be there, you're going to focus on a fear energy. You're going to focus on an anxiety energy as you're standing in the line for that ride. You're going to focus on what could go wrong in the ride, or why you don't want to be there, or so many other possible negative things. Think about that, how we do that, right? But if you're in the line and you realize, I choose to be in this line, and you're watching this video right now, so I hope you choose to be in the line. I choose to be in this line. I choose to take this ride. I choose to allow it to scare me a bit, to get my adrenaline pumping. And as you focus on these things, you get excited. you actually want one of those passes where you can go to cut to the front of the line so you can get there faster. You feel the difference? These are really, really similar energies. I want you to feel how they're really similar energies in their biology, in the body. This excitement and this anxiety, fear. They're very similar. And the question is, which one are you going to feel? Well, you can try to numb out and feel none of them, but this month is like that big ride. So I invite you to get excited about the possibilities with me. Will you do that? We're going to talk about the new moon, and we're going to talk about the full moon, as we always do, because the new moon, as you know, gives you a very specific opportunity every single month at a very specific time. It's like a door opening into a magic world where you can set your positive intentions in a particular area. We talk about where the moon is, what sign the moon is in. You can do it on any intention you want, but I think it really helps magnify it when it's around, the intention you set is around the energy that the moon is in. And in this case, it's going to be in Cancer. So we'll talk about that. Also, you have 2 weeks later, you have a full moon that allows you to see how things are coming and kind of reminds you to stay with your intention. And even if they've come full blown and you've harvested, you can keep that intention going and create something new. Again, the next level of that intention. But the full moon is a check-in spot. And this month, we've got a Capricorn full moon. So we're moving from very watery, emotional energy into earthy, steadfast, go-get-it energy that's very strong, climb to the top of the mountain. So checking in will be great because we'll be able to be logical and clear and figure out what action we haven't taken that we need to take. So we're going to go over for sure in a little more depth the new moon and the full moon, which I promise to always give my best to do in these energy forecasts because they are real portals, I believe. But I'm going to bring a lot more in this month because my guides really wanted me to let you know what an important cyclical month this is. These are cycles that are finishing. And we have 2 eclipses, and this is an interesting cycle. Again, we have a solar eclipse and a lunar eclipse, and we had those 6 months ago in January of this year. So the planets feel to me like they are mirroring, or you could say they are it's not inviting, but they're like instigating the energy that I'm actually getting for this month, which is an energy of some completion starting to happen, some manifestations starting to show up from all this work we've been doing since the beginning of the year. And if you've been following my monthly forecast, you'll see that I keep talking, or I've been talking about this mysterious energy, not being able to see around the corner, creating and taking action in faith. Well, it's not going to be complete by any means, but by the end of this month, the end of July, I believe we're going to have some real things that have started to show up to show us the work we've done and this new life in a very physical way. So I'm excited about all this, but I do feel almost a bit overwhelmed because there's just so much going on this month, right? 2 big eclipses, big Mercury retrograde, 3/4 of the month in Mercury retrograde. And then of course our new moon and our full moon going from water to earth. Okay, so let's first just talk about the new moon, because I always like to cover those, the new and the full moon. I like to give you the specific times so that you can really do some rituals and get in line with them. And if you have no other rituals that you do, I really invite you to join me each month with these energy forecasts and write down the time of the new moon and full moon and do those. Set your intentions on the new moon, check in on the full moon. So on July 2nd, we have a Cancer new moon, and that happens at 12:16 p.m. Pacific. I always give Pacific times. So sometimes it's even the next day for certain parts of the world, right? So you have to figure it out for your time zone, but you can use 12:16 p.m. Pacific as your starting point. And whatever that is for you in the world at that time on July 2nd, you will have the opportunity to set intentions around Cancerian energy. Cancer energy is all about home. and family, home and hearth, and also about emotions and mother love, like that heart energy, that love energy. So it's a good time to set intentions around love, around relationships, around the divine feminine, around your emotions. I like to keep these pretty general. I'm not going to get real specific, really like that it needs to be exactly about this specific thing, because I want you to stay open. I want you to be able to really create what you need to create in this general umbrella under the Cancerian energy. So let's say you're wanting to move through some emotional blocks, or you're actually, I'll just give you an example. One way would be, I'm overly emotional and have too much drama in my life, and I want to actually learn to take a few breaths from the time I feel an emotion to the time I respond. That would be wonderful. Or I'm overly moody and let my emotions actually lead me. And that's very Cancerian, by the way, to let emotions lead you in a up and down kind of way, like more a retreating way, not so much putting it out on people, but the crab of like going into your shell, or coming out of your shell, or scurrying across the sand quickly because you're scared, like doing things, holding it all yourself, right? Being in the shell, but having it be very up and down, very moody. And therefore, if someone comes into your space or into your shell, it's like, you can't handle it. So it's not so much you're going out and being aggressive, unless you have other things in the chart for you when you're a Cancerian, but the Cancerian energy is more about you go inward, but you have these ups and downs. So a good intention might be to just have more level emotional playing field, which could be tapping and doing different things. Make some intentions to actually do some practices that will help you have a more emotional level playing field. So that would be a good intention, for instance, or anything around home if you really want to make a physical change, because we're moving toward Capricorn energy. The full moon is July 16th, Capricorn at 2:38 p.m. Pacific, and Capricorn also has this builder energy. I'd like to say it feels, it has the foundation, the home foundation for me. The emotional of the home for me is Cancer, and literally the foundation of home has a Capricorn feeling for me, that grounded, earthy energy. Can you feel that? So if you want to change something in terms of your home, like beginning a renovation at the beginning of the new moon, or you want to move homes, these are things I feel will be really supported during this time. Mercury goes into retrograde on the 7th, and it comes out on the 1st. Some say the 2nd of August. It depends on where you are in the world, and I like to stay more general with Mercury because it's a whole 3-week period. So let's just say the 7th, July 7th through the 1st of August. And of course you have a shadow period that even as you watch this, if you're before the 7th, we're already in the shadow period, because we're in it even as I'm already doing this video. So there's a shadow period before that will bring in some of the energies, and I definitely felt it the first day it came in, and there's a shadow period, there's a shadow afterwards. So you might have some lingering effect beyond those dates. But the hard dates for it being retrograde, for Mercury being retrograde, are July 7th till August 1. And at this time, you're going to want to do a lot of looking back. You're going to want to do a lot of like review, renew, re-examine, just everything is recycling's good too, right? But it's just a lot of looking back. Now we have a lot of solar energy that's going in this 3 years, so it's going to be interesting to see how looking back is at this time when we've been so moving forward and we have this solar energy getting us to move more forward. So I really want you to have patience with this. And one of the symbols I want you to remember is that we like to say that when Mercury goes retrograde, it goes in reverse, but it doesn't actually. It just looks that way, like when you see two trains next to each other and yours is the one that's moving, so the one next to yours might look like it's moving, or vice versa. Well, that's what happens with the illusion of retrograde, is that it slows down so much, and in relation to our planetary movement, it looks like it's going backwards, but it's not going backwards. Mercury retrograde is not going backwards. So I want you to remember that as a symbol, that when you stop your forward movement during the time of Mercury retrograde, I mean, you might continue to take some steady steps, of course, of things that you've already created, but you stop like that push of newness and let me start some big project. You stop that and you go and you look at the last couple weeks, you look at the last year, very, very important, and even you look at your life and what themes are coming up for you, okay? Because as you do that, you're going to feel perhaps that you're going backwards, but you're not. Just like Mercury doesn't really go backwards, it's just an illusion, you're not going backwards. When we go into a period of Mercury retrograde, we are literally, I just got this analogy just now. It's like if you were, when we're in a hurry and we're going forward, let's say we're gonna pull the weeds out of the garden. So we're pulling the weeds and we're pulling the weeds, but we're in such a hurry, we're not really digging deep. So what's gonna happen is, you know, a few weeks, given the weather, whatever's happening, a few weeks, a few months down the road, all the weeds are gonna grow back up, right? We didn't really weed properly. We didn't really get rid of anything. So all of our forward progress is just like, whew, thrown to the wind. It's worthless. Mercury retrograde's like that opportunity for us to go out to the garden that we quickly pulled all the tops of the weeds off and check and see, did we get all the roots? And go a little deeper, go down into the depth. And I'm going to be talking about the underworld because that's super important. I kept getting shown by my guides this hero's journey this month, hero's journey. And there's a specific point when we go into Mercury retrograde, I think I'll go into it right now actually, where in the hero's journey, in Campbell's outline of the hero's journey, and it's going to feel familiar to you anyway because we all know stories and storylines and hero journeys, is there's a point in which you go into the cave, or as Campbell said, the cave. I like to think of the underworld, like we have so many great myths in history where they literally, the hero goes into hell or into the underworld, right? We have all the stories about gods and goddesses where they go into the underworld. Well, that's really what we're doing when we go into Mercury retrograde. And I think this is also where we're going to find, and we're going to finally reveal and unearth some of this hidden stuff, which is going to allow new things to show up in our life. I also just feel like it might be delightful. So before I go any more into this though, I do want to talk about the 3 themes, because we've overall covered now that we have a new moon and a full moon. We have 2 eclipses, a full solar eclipse and a partial lunar eclipse. Full solar in, I'm just repeating so you'll remember these, full solar eclipse on the 2nd of July in Cancer, a partial lunar eclipse on the full moon July 16th, which will be in Capricorn. Okay, and then of course we have the 7th through the 1st where we're going to be in Mercury retrograde. Okay, before I go any deeper into this Mercury retrograde, I have to bring up my first theme. I've got 3 themes for you this month. I'm trying to keep it somewhat simple. There could be more, but let's focus on these 3. The first one is expect the unexpected. So when, again, go back to that roller coaster ride, be in awe and in joy of the possibilities of what could arise. That will be so helpful this month. And also know that Mercury retrograde may really reveal to you some incredible things in cycles from a couple weeks to 6 months to 7 years to your whole lifetime to even past lives. If you're willing to really drop down during Mercury retrograde, stop pushing forward progress and really look at things, review things, revisit old patterns. Okay, are you willing? You're a warrior. If you're on my channel, you're a warrior. So I hope you're willing. I'm high 10 in you here. High 5 and high 5 equals high 10 in you to really give it your best, to go into the underworld and complete at least part of your hero's journey this month. I honestly believe that this month is a test, and Mercury retrograde is a big part of the test of our abilities, your ability to roll with the punches, to really be flexible in life. Okay, so expect the unexpected, which means some people confuse expect the unexpected means we'll just let go of expectations. As humans, it's it's pretty hard to let go of expectations, but you can have a loose grip and you can make them not specific. That's really important. And most important, don't confuse expectations with desire and faith. Expectations are entitlement and they're mental, and they have a know-it-all feeling, like it's got to be this way and I know what's best. Desire just says, I really desire this, and I have faith that the universe is going to provide me the best version of that. This is my general desire, and the universe, we step back and let the universe play a role. So let go of specific outcomes, but don't let go of your desire, and don't let go of your faith. And just know that whatever comes forth is for your own good. And because the universe knows best, right? And if it doesn't feel good to your ego, I invite you to sit with it. To not immediately reject it or resist it, but to really sit with it and ask yourself, how could this be the best thing for me? Oh, that's a real spiritual warrior's question. How could this actually be the best thing for me, especially the new me that is becoming, that is coming into fruition? So that's theme number 1, expect the unexpected. Theme number 2 is balance lunar and solar energies. There's just so much of this going on this month with the 2 eclipses, and it just feels to me so lunar and solar. Another way of saying it, feminine and masculine. The moon feminine, the sun masculine. The moon is our unconscious, our subconscious. The sun is our conscious mind. So this is about being able to balance the 2. And I don't mean balance like they have to be all even all the time. No, but just give them both the value they deserve. So when you're emotional, when your feminine side is showing up, when your creative side, when you just, you're flowy, and allow that to be. Value that part of yourself. And when you've got that go for it energy, that masculine energy, you're wanting logic, you're wanting forward movement, then really do that. Go for that. Okay? And not making one wrong or one right. This is not an either or. The lesson of this month is both. And, it's an and, A-N-D. Solar and lunar, lunar and solar. Feminine and masculine, masculine and feminine. Which also means outer world, masculine, outer, accomplishing, really making sure you're not hiding in your shell, because Cancer energy can make us do that sometimes. Especially if you are Cancer, you have Cancer in significant places in your chart. Okay, so not hiding, going out, but not going out and pushing everything and hiding from your emotional world and your relationships, right? But acknowledging both, Okay. It's also a good time because of that to work if you have a relationship with a significant other. There's always masculine, feminine energy, the polarities of that are playing in a romantic relationship. Doesn't matter if it's a gay relationship or a heterosexual relationship, it still applies. These energies are always there. They create the chemistry in a relationship, the lunar and the solar. So you might want to work with your partner and be aware not to project on your partner, but rather really work and allow your partner to have both sides. Allow your partner to not have to be the one to show up and be masculine, or not have to be the one to do all the emotional heavy lifting, right? Carrying even your emotions. Instead, share both of those things between you, and see if you can do a dance, like an open dance, instead of being caught in rigid roles of the masculine and feminine, no matter what your gender is, right? Okay, so that's number 2. Theme number 2 is to balance the lunar and solar energies for this month. And then finally, theme number 3, I'm so excited to get to share this with you. My guides were really clear, this is a time to begin to solidify the new you. Okay? You have actually been working on this incredible new version of yourself since the beginning of the year. You have. Feel into it, think into it. If you've been watching these videos, I know you have. And it's been mysterious. It hasn't been adding up to anything too tangible now. And now it is going to. So the view I got, or what my guides showed me, was pregnant, like you pregnant with you. It takes a while. You're not just one way, one day, and then boom, another. A tree, a flower, everything in nature. and we are part of nature as long as we're here on this planet, has a process that it goes through. And when you want to birth something new, there's a gestation. And for we humans, it's a pretty long gestation. So this one, I'm even going to say, truly, I believe it's closer to 9 months. It was in last fall. It began around just September, October, maybe as late as November, but October of last year. And we're ready to birth the first, like when you birth a baby, the baby doesn't come out like doing a cheerleading thing, or, you know, the baby doesn't fully know itself yet, but nevertheless, you're birthing this authentic being, this authentic version of you. So again, I just want to point out that I had started to talk earlier about how Mercury retrograde, I believe, is a real test. It's going to be a test because I did say it was going to be like a hero's journey, and the hero's journey in the underground, the underworld, and the cave is a test. It's a test. And I want you to specifically think of it as a test of, are you going to repeat old patterns? Are you going to reinitiate those patterns, recommit to them? Are you going to go down into your subconscious, down into the underworld, back into the past, all sort of same parts of the feminine, the unconscious, the body? Are you going to go in there and illuminate some things and shift them once and for all? Because I feel you are, and I feel you've actually kind of been doing that, but now you're going to like really put your stamp on it, so that even as we start to go into the Capricorn energy, you're starting to feel stronger in this new energy. But the strongest energy is going to come at the end of the month, because the tests are going to continue throughout this Mercury retrograde. So the Mercury retrograde is a time when you might have an old job offer that looks like something you've held before, or an old lover come back, or you yourself might feel an impulse to go back to somewhere you lived before, or to revisit a person you knew before, or to revisit a hobby. Whatever it is, if it held some trauma or drama, something you had to get away from, because you may revisit, say, a hobby or something that you just missed. But if you revisit something that had trauma, or something that had drama, something that needed healing, that you separated from before, watch to see that you don't look at it from the same place as you did before. That you look at it from the new you, the you that you've been creating over the last 6 to 9 months. Really, who are you now? Don't just fall into the habit. And also watch sides of yourself. And we all have this, that could easily, if an old lover comes back, fall into an old pattern. And you know what? If you can't resist it, do it. Because I'm going to tell you, it'll break. It'll break. And sometimes the absolute best thing that can happen is that we dive into something because it still holds something for us, and then it shifts in a way that finally does show us what we need to learn and does let us feel what we really need to feel. So I don't believe you should like override really strong impulses with the mental. You can look at things from a place of clarity and mental, but if that impulse is still really, really strong, I say always follow that impulse, because that impulse is coming from your soul and it will lead you where you need to go. And yes, it might be icky, it might not be fun, but if the impulse is there, then the ickiness is needed, right? Sometimes in a relationship, you need several things to happen that show you that it's not working before you can actually let it go, right? I hope this is all making sense, you guys. This is quite a lot, I know, and I really appreciate you coming along. So that's pretty much it. We're solidifying the new you. What is the new you? What have you been creating over the last 6 to 9 months? And what, at least one part of that, can you focus on during Mercury retrograde to like sort of look at the patterns that are related to letting go of the old you that was in the way of this part of you that's birthing now. I'm so excited about this. I think this is intense and awesome. Really, really good. So I'm just going to follow up with the very ending. I want you to know that this is an intense month, okay? So do be aware. There will be, excuse me, some Mars energy that wants to fight. Okay, hold things with yourself. Like take a breath. When you feel yourself wanting to react, take 5 breaths. And then ask, how does this apply to me? Like really watch projecting, particularly projecting out to your partner, because I want you to work with the lunar and solar. Watch impatience, watch anger, and projecting this month. Watch them, mean give them a little room. Take a few breaths and see what's going on, and then see how you can alchemize them into love, into self-love, because self-love always leads back into love of others, of everyone in your life. So and remember that Mercury isn't going in reverse, it just looks like it. So if you feel like time's moving you by when you're in Mercury retrograde and you're taking the time to really look at old patterns, remember there's nothing more valuable. You're digging the weeds out at the very root. You're getting down to the root. Everything else is too quick and too temporary, and it's not a solution, right? So I think I've quoted this before. Missy Higgins has a song where she says, isn't it funny how, I'm probably going to butcher, but isn't it funny how hurrying always slows you down? That's the basic gist of it, and I just think that's the best line. So particularly in a 3-year, this Mercury retrograde is a blessing. You already know that you want to avoid new contracts, and that if you can avoid somewhat travel, unless you're really called and you were born with a Mercury retrograde in the chart, right? Then perhaps you'll be called to travel. But in general, you already know all the little things. Be more patient with your computer stuff, your technical stuff. Be more patient with yourself, more patient with the people around you. That goes without saying. But we got a larger fish to fry this month. We have the energy of the solar plexus and the sacral, the fire and the water, that are really strong, and they're allowing you to create something new in your life if you're willing to be a spiritual warrior this month. And I think you are. I think you are. I can feel it. We've been working up to this. So be kind to yourself. There's going to be, I'm feeling just a lighter energy at the moment for the Leo-ish solar plexus energy in August. But we'll go into the depths of that when I get there. My guides so far have just shown me this month, July, because this is plenty for us to bite off and chew on for right now. Thank you for being here. Thank you for desiring to make the most of this month and to continue to transform into your highest possibilities, because as you do it, you help those of us that are around you to do it, and we all help each other. So we're shifting the planet from the inside out, and I feel very, very blessed to have you in my tribe. Thank you for being a part of my Chakra Boosters family. I'm sending you so much love, and I will see you on the next video. Blessings.